NFL draft season. It's almost here, guys. The NFL draft is almost here. We're talking defensive prospects that the Eagles should target. So, draft talk. You ready? We're ready. Let's go.
You love the Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! You love the Philadelphia Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! Philadelphia!
Welcome to Eagles Talk, ladies and gentlemen. This is Chucks and joined by Brinks. What's going on, man? How you been? How you doing?
We're good. Straight to toss some draft. I got my 5 guys here. So we're gonna be talking some Edgerrin Cooper. And my five guys aren't gonna be, your run of the mill guys.
Yeah, good. So I'm glad to hear it. We need to expand names. So like the more wide range of names that we cover, the better. And because it's only us two that are here, usually I brought in one of my old friends. A lot of the people listening in know him from Birds of a Feather, our old show. It's my good friend, Mr. PY. PY, what's good, man? How are you?
Pete,
I'm all right.
welcome.
Did you miss me?
Oh, of course I missed you, man. Even though I talk to you every day on the chat, but it's good to do a show with you again. How you been?
I've been doing all right. How you doing?
Good. We're good. We're excited. But I'm glad to have you on because you're one of the only other people I know at A2D Radio that is as big of draft nerd as we are. So definitely will appreciate you coming in and talking some NFL draft with us. I'm excited. We're all excited. So before we, without further ado, let's get to it. But we got to pay some bills. Of course, Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, home of the best stuffed breads. Make sure you mention A2D to get 10% off your order. And the poll question, the Eagles must find a way to draft Edgerrin Cooper. Agree or disagree? Brinks, I'm going to lead it off with you. Edgerrin Cooper, the linebacker. He's been mentioned by so many Eagles fans. I know past couple of weeks, we've had several commenters on here. And if you want to comment, guys, if you're tuning in, definitely keep it coming. We're going to get to all of your comments and your questions that we can. But yeah, we had a lot of chatter about Edgerrin Cooper. So that kind of sparked the poll question. So what do you think? Is Edgerrin Cooper like a priority number one? You've got to find a way to get this prospect. Or are you on the fence? Well, how do you feel about?
I'm absolutely disagree. Like if he ends up on the Eagles and Howie and the scouts deem him worthy at whatever 22, 50, 53, whatever, cool. We need linebackers. I don't think he's a must-have, but I think he's very similar to the guy we just traded to the Jets. Quite frankly, maybe he didn't play like that at Texas A&M, but I think he is going to play like that in the NFL. I do have a linebacker on my top 5 list that I put together in preparation for the show. Edgerrin Cooper isn't him. So Edgerrin Cooper is not on my top 5 draft targets. I don't know. I look at him on YouTube and watch him play a little bit. I'm not going to say I watch a lot of Texas A&M football in terms of my college football watching last season, but reminds me a lot of Hassan Reddick. I think that's how he's going to be used in the pros, like Hassan Reddick. And me, remember a few years ago when the Broncos traded Brandon Marshall and then picked Demaryius Thomas in the first round? That type of thinking, that I'm totally against that type of thinking. Why would you trade Brandon Marshall just to draft a guy just like Brandon Marshall when you already have Brandon Marshall in the first place? I'm sure there's a lot more recent examples of that kind of stuff, but that's the one that always comes to mind. That's just a big pet peeve of mine when teams do that type of stuff. I was
about to say the Titans did it.
You trade AJ Brown and then you take Treylon Burks. What are you doing? To me, the draft is all about supplementing. Okay, you think you need another receiver to go with? Okay, take Treylon Burks. Don't give away AJ Brown and then draft Treylon Burks, who probably won't be like AJ Brown because AJ Brown's an absolute monster in this league.
Yeah.
So for those reasons, I am not all in on the Edgerrin Cooper bandwagon draft stock party.
I know there's another one that comes to mind that I was shocked at was when the Niners traded away DeForest Buckner, and then they drafted Javon Kinlaw with that same pick that they got in return for DeForest Buckner.
Don't get
like
it.
I thought that was dumb. I was like, why would you like just pay DeForest Buckner? And we've seen now it hasn't panned out for him. Javon Kinlaw has been hurt a lot for them, and he hasn't panned out as the first round pick that they wanted. So yeah, it when you have that kind of like mindset and you approach it hardly works. I'm sure there are instances where it has worked, but I can't think of any. But like it's not. It seems like it doesn't work out more often than it work out. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
I mean, you're drafting Treylon Burks, and for your team not to step back on offense, he has to be the same as AJ Brown.
Yeah,
AJ Brown's a monster. Like, that's hard to do.
Mm-hmm. Very, very tough. And then I think a lot of it, before we get to UPY, I know a lot of it has to do with finances. You know, they're like, we don't want to pay the veteran a whole bunch of money, so we're trying to find a way to get a cheaper guy who is similar. And I understand that, but I think that's a very risky, because obviously, like, the draft is already a crapshoot. Like, in the first round, it's what, roughly 50% hit rate in the first round. Like, half of the people in the first round aren't going to pan out, and then it gets worse and worse with each round. So it's so risky to try to do that and approach it and expect to get similar results. Like, that's why sometimes, like, just pay. If you have an elite talent, just freaking pay them. Like, that's a whole other conversation, but I agree. I'm with you there. PY, what do you think? Like, what are you with Edgerrin Cooper, linebacker?
So I think he's a phenomenal talent. Like, I'd love to have him on the Eagles, mainly because we don't have any good linebackers. We have a bunch of potential guys. You know what I mean? I don't think they'll go after and get him, because I don't think they're going to spend a first-round pick on a linebacker, which they haven't done since 1979. Like, that would be great, grabbing a guy like Edgerrin Cooper and having him on this defense. He'd be a stud, and he would make this defense immensely better. But I just can't see them investing it. Not only like Howie Roseman investing in it, but the Eagles itself. Like, people like to say that Howie doesn't invest in linebackers. The Eagles don't invest in linebackers. Like, because if they did, they would have drafted a first-round linebacker. And people would be like, oh, Marcus Smith. No, he does not count. He was an edge rusher. Like, I get it. Like, you want the sexy pick. Like, you want like what the Niners have, which ironically, they haven't drafted anyone in the first round either. So like, talent is wherever talent is. If you can find first round talent in the third round, go out and grab it. If you can't, like, you'll find it somewhere.
Yeah, very, very, very nicely put. Very nicely put. I'm going to also disagree to the point. I think it's unanimous here. Like you said, PY, I like Edgerrin Cooper a lot. I think he's a second round kind of graded linebacker. I said six. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll take him in the sixth round.
Yeah, right. I do disagree with Brinks. I think Edgerrin Cooper is more of a middle linebacker type than a Hassan Reddick edge rusher. I think that Edgerrin Cooper, like, if I'm going to rank him if I were to rank him on the linebackers right now, and I haven't done anything in depth with everyone yet, but I think it's close between him and Peyton Wilson. A lot of people would say Peyton Wilson obviously does have injury concerns, like legitimate injury concerns, so that might be like a reason why his stock falls. But with Edgerrin Cooper, I think he's a good second round type of prospect. I know a lot of Eagles fans are saying like he just dropped him in the first round. I wouldn't do that. I think that's reaching severely for a linebacker. So if he's there in the second round and they take him, I think that would be really cool. That'd be great. I would be happy with him in the second round, but not in the first. And people like, you can't, Eagles fans, I know they want a linebacker so badly, but you can't reach for him. And I think we're all unanimous on that. I mean, Brink says it almost every week, and I know that PY, me and you, we're in agreement. We've said this over and over on Birds of a Feather. Like, you have to see who's available to you. You have to see who falls, and you can't just because we want a linebacker so bad doesn't mean we should reach for one when it comes. So like, just let the board come to you, and then whoever's there, we'll see, and then we'll go from there. So let's hit up the chat. We got some good
Look at the
comments. on that. I know
Patrick.
Go ahead.
Look at the Patrick Queen draft. They keep bringing this up all the time. Oh, they had a stud. If we could have had Patrick Queen, he was out of there. They wanted to trade him in the offseason. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. Like, they did not believe in Patrick Queen. He had one good year. Look at Kenneth Murray. He's nothing. Like the Devin Bush. There's so many guys where they're first-round linebackers, and they just have not panned out. Like, you don't need first-round talent in the first round to be a good linebacker.
But you can't
look at the
ignore the
Niners.
position like they did last year.
No, you can't.
Correct.
That was
That's correct.
ignorance and stubbornness last year, and it
Yeah.
cost them a lot of games.
Well, you also didn't have enough money to put into the position like they did this year and next year.
Well, I'm
The
sorry.
good thing
All I hear is Howie Roseman being a cat. I can't take that as.
Well, Briggs, I mean,
What, you mean-
Briggs, I
You mean
know
the best
you're
GM in
happy-
football?
Yeah, that's why I can't. I'm not going to excuse him for ignoring a position, and he's very good. We can discuss where he ranks in the best GMs of football at a
best.
different time. But like you can't tell me you don't have enough salary allotted for a position that you ignored when you're a cap wizard.
No, I
There was
think
don't pay your kicker $6 million then.
I
about
think
that?
I understand. Like, I think we would agree that the extent of which he ignored the position last year was too much. Like, it was just negligence, and it was gross negligence. And I think heading into the season, I think we all agreed that there was too much stock and hope on the shoulders of Nakobe Dean, and he couldn't stay healthy. And beyond him, and we were relying on free agent pickups that we had got like late in the year. So it's not reliable way. I think there's a middle ground. I think we'd all agree on in terms of, hey, you don't have to reach for one in the draft, but you've got to still have it as a priority. And I think
Have Shaq Leonard starting.
Briggs, I mean, to be fair, also you were even before we signed him, you were all for Devin White. So at least we did get a Devin White. I know I'm not sure what you had said about him, but I was more skeptical. But at least he is someone that can get in the room who is a proven starter, a veteran who does have upside. So at least it's not like we are grasping at straws going into the draft and are desperate for a linebacker. It's a good thing that we have White, we have Nakobe Dean, who should be coming back from injury, who is in a big prove-it year. And I'm not saying rely on him. I'm just saying he is another body that is there. So, at least we do have those two options, and we're not absolutely starving at the positions like we were last year. BY, real quick before I want to get to the comments before it's too late, but we got a lot. But what were your thoughts real quick on Devin White? Were you a fan or did you skeptical like me? Where were you at that?
I think he's really talented. I think he had a really bad year last year, but there's a reason why he's a first round talent. There's a reason why he was as good as he was in Tampa. There's a reason why he was an all-pro that one year. He's immensely talented. He's a very fast guy. He's pure athleticism. He's good when it comes to interceptions, but the coverage is a little he can whiff on tackles from time to time, but Nicholas Morrow did all that too. So, I rather put my money on the athlete than the guy who tries hard every time.
Yeah, true.
Correct.
So Puvia is a Pope. I said Puvia. What is wrong with me today?
Puvia
is I can't be married to just one name come draft day. Have a priority list. Angry Bear, let's say what's up. Let's see. Angry Bear also says he still wants a corner with that first pick, so it's good. We'll get into corners, I'm sure, when it comes to us naming some guys. Martian,
a lot of guys in that corner room right now. A lot of guys.
Martian says Cooper is good.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, they're going to trade for him. I can see it now.
Cooper? Well, you mean Josh Allen?
Josh Allen.
Oh, Josh Allen? Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
that's a fire sale going on in Buffalo right now.
Baby. It is. I don't know what they're doing.
I think he means Josh Allen from the Jaguars.
Yeah, Josh Allen from the Jaguars. Yeah. He's. I don't know what the Jaguars
I did mean that. I don't know why I said the Bills.
Yeah. Greg Miller says, I really like Peyton Wilson too from North Carolina State. Both back. Like I said earlier, he's another linebacker that's usually highly graded with this class toward the top of the linebacker class. He's got, I think he has more upside in coverage than Edgerrin James. I'm all over the place with Edgerrin Cooper, but
I like the Edgerrin James. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. He's awesome. Those injury concerns are legitimate. John Malmus says no linebackers in this draft will go in the first round. I agree. I don't think anyone will go in the first round this year. No, I don't think not any would have gone last year if it wasn't for the Lions. I think the Lions were the only one that took a linebacker, if I'm correct. So linebacker is as much a devalued position these days.
Worked out for the Lions though, didn't it?
It did. He had an up and down year. He wasn't, out of all their draft picks last year, the first three when it comes to Jahmyr Gibbs and him and Sam Laporta, he struggled the most. But I mean, like, he did have flashes. So I mean, there is that.
Comparing him to 2 grand slams, Chucks. I mean, come on.
Well, no, I'm talking about just him in a vacuum too. Like, you can ask who's our resident Lions fan?
Don.
Don. He'll even tell you that.
Yeah, he was up and down. Like anyone with functioning eyeballs will admit that.
Yeah. He was up and down last year.
That's what happens when you overdraft a first round linebacker.
Yeah. Martian says, what's the over under how he trades 22nd pick for a young established player? I mean, who would be available? Like, who you have in mind, Martian? Do you have anyone in mind? Because like a young established player, like, that's on the trade block. You're talking about, like, I mean,
Surtain is the only one I can think of.
I was going to say Surtain would be
like other than Patrick Surtain. Like, who would you really say to yourself? You know who we need to trade? That guy. Yeah, he's the only one I can think of.
He's the only one that comes up.
That's the thing about the draft. You don't know. Like, no one knew A.J. Brown was going to come here on that draft.
Yeah, but like
you have no idea.
There was a list of guys you knew that like could be traded due to the contract situation. It was him. It was McLaurin. It was DK Metcalf. It was Debo. Like, you knew these guys were available if you could not find the right price. Like, I wasn't surprised that A.J. Brown was traded. I was surprised he came here.
That is true. I know there were talks. I think that is, from what I remember, yeah, like the big thing was like there was no talks about him possibly coming here. So like that took a lot of people by surprise. I'll keep the comments coming, guys. But yeah, Patrick Surtain would be the only one that comes to mind. So Martian, if you have anyone else in mind, mention them in the chat. Keep the comments coming, guys. Like, subscribe, follow. You know the deal. But we've got, what else we got here? We've got John Malmus predicts Edgerrin Cooper will go in the mid-40s. So like, yeah, second round. I think that's what we're going.
I would love him in the second round. That would be such a good value for him.
Mm-hmm. John also says, get Byron Murphy, get him next to Carter, then rotate with Davis, Williams, and Ojamo. I haven't really studied Byron Murphy a lot, so I don't know. When we get to our list, I'll we'll see if any of you guys have him listed. But I personally have
that Texas team was loaded, so
that is true.
They were really good.
Yeah,
and Josh Sweat's brother.
Devondre Sweat. No, Devondre Sweat is Josh Sweat's brother, and he just got a DWI.
Get him in the 6th round.
Freaking idiot.
Is he a pro or is he going to be in the draft this year?
Oh, he's in the draft. Yeah, Devondre Sweat. Yeah, he was one of the better prospects.
Yeah, he just got arrested for.
Is that big guy on Texas?
Yeah,
in the middle. That's Josh Sweat's brother. That guy's a monster.
Yeah, he just got a DWI.
He's just also dumb as dirt.
Oh, that's all right. He didn't kill anybody. Like, just relax. He didn't pull a Rasheed Rice. Like, we'll recover. It's not good. You just got to talk to him and be like, "Yo,
yeah, dude, yeah." I'm just saying his draft stock will fall.
Don't do that.
It's gonna.
Well, that's
good. That's good then, because that's not a bad pick.
No, it's not. Like, he's talented. So if we get him at a great value, I'm not going to complain. Absolutely, I wouldn't complain. Just hold on. I'm trying to
get him in the 4th round like his brother.
Let's go back to that. Go back to that corner comment.
Which one? Hold on. Sorry.
I don't know. I can't find it either. But someone said they should take a corner in the 1st round.
Oh yeah. It was back at the beginning. Oh, Angry Bear. Angry Bear's comment. He says corner of the first pick. So
I mean, you got first off, Isaiah Rodgers is yet to be reinstated. People are kind of assuming that's imminent, but I guess until he actually gets reinstated for gambling, you can't count him. But for purposes of this exercise, like you have Rodgers, I count CJ Gardner Johnson as a corner because I think he's the best nickel option we have on this team.
It's DeVonta.
Yeah, but I mean, for how long? When? He's unreliable. He can't be trusted. Sorry, he's good when he's on the field. I'll give him that, but I mean, he had some injury bugs last year, dude. I've seen.
What do you mean last year? Like, how about the last 2 years? He's played like a grand total of like 8 games.
He's the only defender on the Eagles that showed up in the Super Bowl. The guy's an absolute dog. He should have never left. Like, he's by far the best option the Eagles
should have listened to his stupid agent.
Well, that's neither here nor there. He's back, and he's going to be a huge asset to this defense, whether they play him at safety or the nickel. But I don't know. Like, I do have a corner in one of my top 5 targets, but Slay, Bradbury's still here, Rodgers, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Avonte Maddox. It's a really crowded room. Then you have guys that at least showed a little bit of promise in Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks. So even though I do have a corner that I have in my top 5 targets, I think they're good at corner. I think there's other places you can go.
Mhm.
And bear in mind, I can only talk about defensive prospects tonight. So we're really going to have fun with me when we talk about offensive prospects.
Oh yeah, the offense next week will be a lot of fun. Yeah, we'll get to what you call. We'll get to corners soon. That's Andrew Baker does ask thoughts on Darius Robinson, the defensive end from Missouri in round 2. I think Darius Robinson, that's an edge prospect that I would really like in round 2, like you said, because I think one of our issues, remember Brinks, that we've brought up is no one sets the edge. Right? No one sets the edge right now. They're all like finesse rushers. So we don't have someone who set the edge other than Brandon Graham, but he's a depth guy. Like he's a backup. Darius Robinson would be a good pick in round 2 because he's a type of physical power edge rusher who can set the edge and who can provide something that the other edge rushers can't, that we have on the roster. And that at least alludes to another point of mine. When it comes to edge rushers, I know a lot of people are talking about Chop Robinson. I think Chop Robinson and other guys like that, they're very intriguing. For the Eagles, if we're talking just about the Eagles, I don't need another finesse rusher, speed rusher in the mold of Hassan Reddick or in the mold of Bryce Huff or in the mold of Zach Bond. Like we have those guys already. We need a more physical type of guy who can set the edge and who's someone who can be relied on to be there and run support because none of our guys are proven there yet. I know Josh Sweat, he showed that a few years ago, but last year was a down year in terms of run defense for him. And then everyone else are unproven. So like I need someone who's going to be able to complement who we have on the roster now. So I think Darius Robinson will be able to provide that. I like him in round 2. Jay Koch says it would be foolish draft Dre capital and to sign a big money contract with Smitty and Hurts contract gonna start taking chunks. I don't know who he's referring to, but yeah, I'm not sure who he's referring to though in terms of signing anyone.
They have the cap space to do whatever they want.
You're gonna have like 60. You're gonna have $60 million in 2025. You're gonna have no issues extending Smith. That's not even gonna be an issue.
Yeah, no issue. It'll happen. It'll happen. He asked, I haven't started my defensive player scouting project. Who is the plus player on defense in this draft? I mean, I'd say you're looking at. It's tough for me to say. I mean, I think you're talking about either Dallas Turner consensus, or you're looking at corners like Terry and Arnold, as names. I top of my head, like on the defensive side, it's tough to say. And Quentin Mitchell's another one at corner. Those are the top ones that I keep seeing. There's not a lot of blue chip. There aren't really any blue chip like early first round graded defensive prospects.
This isn't last year's draft.
Yeah, this isn't last year. So it's
this is like a pure offensive draft. with a few like nuggets sprinkled in.
Yeah. So it's tough to say. Like everyone's going to give you a different defensive player who they have on the top of their big board. Like it's going to be different every time. Malma says Sweat, DeVonta Sweat will go late second round. Yeah, probably with everything. Marshall says if we're going corner, package 22 and another future pick for PS2. PS2. Who's PY? Do you know who he's talking
I guess
to?
it's Patrick Surtain. I guess that's
Patrick.
Patrick.
Okay.
It's also it's not PS2. It's P square. What are we doing here?
Andrew just
Why
says
would the Broncos trade him? I don't get it.
Because they're stupid.
Yeah, they're.
What about the Broncos in the last 2 years do you think is about making good decisions?
Yeah, I don't know. Sean Payton.
Well, they hired Sean Payton, so
that's not a good
0 for
decision.
1 there. No, it's not.
Yeah.
I hate that guy. He's so overrated.
Does anyone like Sean Payton? I don't think anyone likes Sean Payton. To be honest, yeah. Cooper DeJean filled wherever we need in the secondary. He's
yes.
Andrew Baker says, "Is the corner from Toledo really that good?" Quinion Mitchell, yes, he is that good.
Yes, he is.
Jay Koch also says Cooper DeJean, Edgerrin Cooper, Tyler Newbin with CJ. GJ would be what your dreams are made of. How are we going to draft all of them? Well, I mean, I guess you go 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, I can see you 1, 2, 3.
Like nobody knows like where these teams are going to pick these guys.
It's like last year. Everyone and their mother tried telling me that the Eagles were going to go O-line. They're not going to go defense. It's not going to happen. I don't know why you think they're drafting Jalen Carter. They're going to draft a tackle. And they drafted Jalen Carter. What do you freaking know? Like,
yeah, you don't know. Yeah, Jay Clare's always saying he's just saying you don't build you don't build a team trading your draft capital away.
Really? Because that's how we won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it also depends. I mean, like we traded for AJ Brown, that worked out, so it all depends on who the prospect is. Yeah. John says Nate Wiggins, who can get late 20s and still trade back with Arizona, and also pick up 71st pick, also safety Jalen Hicks. The thing is, I like Nate Wiggins and stuff, but I don't know if I'm. And let's use this to transition to corner talk, all right? Because I know there's a lot of comments, and Gren says Cooper isn't fast enough for corner safety. He works. I have heated opinions about this. So let's transition to corner, because I know we'll eventually get to Cooper DeJean.
You show White Lightning some respect.
I want to just touch on real quick. Let's pay some more bills. Reminder, guys, Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads. A2D, mention them. You get 10% off. And remember, guys, we appreciate the support. We appreciate the comments. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Follow us. And thank you for always being here talking football with us. We're talking NFL draft this week and next week and the week after. We're really excited. And a little preview, guys. Mr. the boss man Tom Arnone wanted me to mention to everyone the week of the draft, the night before, Wednesday night. PY, I don't know if you know already because I know you're on. That's the show you're on. But we will be doing a mock draft with on A2D Radio. So tune in on Wednesday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of draft coverage, and also Monday night for Eagles Talk, we will be doing a longer show. We will be going maybe, who knows, 90 minutes, 2 hours. We'll see how it goes. It also depends on you guys. Are you going to keep the comments rolling? Because if you keep it rolling, we'll probably keep it rolling as well. So let's just say, or let's just go to cornerback talk again. So Grant, bring this up. We have a lot of other guys on here who would like Cooper DeJean. Let me say this first, okay? We'll talk about Cooper DeJean. We'll talk about other corners afterwards, but Cooper DeJean is very divisive, I can say. You've got your fans who don't want him because let's just and Grant also says here, to make it simple, he doesn't want a white corner. I think, and with all due respect, Grant, I think that's a very ignorant comment. I think that if you look at his pro day today, and I'm not saying that pro days are the end all be all, but if you look at his athletic profile dating back to high school, if you look at his athletic profile throughout, okay, he is a very, very great athlete. Like, the only knock I'd say where he's like he's not great in terms of athletic ability is probably lateral movement. And I know that's a people will say, oh, that's a big question mark for corners. But at the same time, there were corners who don't have the greatest lateral movement. You don't have to be elite, but you have to be good enough. Cooper DeJean to me is good enough when it comes to lateral movement and hip stiffness. Like I don't think it's that big of an issue. It's his weakest part of his athleticism. I don't think it's a weakness. There's a difference. So I believe that Cooper DeJean, if he wasn't white, people would be talking about it differently. However,
oh yeah, without a question.
Yeah, without a difference. So if you just look at him, the player, do his skills translate better to safety? Maybe they do. However, I think Cooper DeJean will be absolutely fine. I think he will still be really good at corner. And a point that I want to make here is you got to look at what the versatility he can do and his ability to play in the slot. Okay, like being able to play in the slot, look at the Chiefs guys. Look at the Chiefs defense. Trent McDuffie was arguably one of their biggest impactful players on defense in that Super Bowl game, or the whole year. He plays the slot. In today's game, there's a lot of stuff that your slot corner has to be able to do for you on defense. They are such an important part. They often get overlooked because people are like, oh, it's just the slot. No, in today's NFL, the slot cornerback is very, very important. It's a starter, and it can be a very important position for you. So if you can draft Cooper DeJean, and I'm talking about not just the Eagles now, I'm talking about in general, for any team that drafts him, you have someone who has outside versatility, inside versatility, safety versatility. Okay, you can play anywhere there. That chess piece, and you can play at a high level. He is absolutely worth a first-round pick. And then now if you're talking about the Eagles, Briggs said it. You can't rely on Vontae Maddox, right, because of his injury history. CJ Gardner-Johnson, great in the slot, but he's not going to be playing the slot all the time. He's still one of the safeties. So you still would like to have a slot corner. I have another slot corner I'm going to mention later, but Cooper DeJean, he fills so many holes for you. He fills so many needs for this defense, and he's a chess piece. And I believe if we take him, the Eagles take him, Vic Fangio will be able to know how to use him in a way that would benefit his strengths. And yeah, like Jay Koch says too, he's a great tackler. Briggs, you want a tackler, right? We want someone who can tackle, right? Cooper DeJean is a tackler. He is aggressive. He's physical. He's
a thumper.
He is so good at what he does overall. And like I just don't think we should look at it and be like, oh, he's white, so I don't want a white corner.
Wait, he's white
way too often. So like I don't like that conversation. I don't think you can look at like, is he like, people say he ran 4.5. I don't think he ran 4.5 at his pro day. He ran 4.4. So like he's athletic. Like he's legit an athlete, a great athlete. So I don't agree with this whole hey, he's going to be a safety at the next level. No, I personally think he's going to be a corner. And if anything, I think he's going to be an elite slot corner, and that's absolutely worth taking at 22. I don't think it's any. He's absolutely worth a pick. So I know I talked a lot about Cooper DeJean. It's just a lot that I like a frustration when it comes to
it's annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying. But go ahead, like you go first, and then Briggs, you tell me. Yeah, let me know what you think about Cooper.
Oh, I love him. I want him. I've wanted him for a while. I keep seeing people bring up, oh, he's white. I don't care. To quote Donald Faison, that's a bad white boy. Like, he is going to knock you on your ass. He's a Swiss Army knife. He can play anything. He can play safety. He can play nickel. He can play corner. Like, he can play no matter what you want. If you need him some linebacker snaps, he can do that. Like, also, you know what? I want to hear all the jokes between when him and Reed Blankenshipper and safety together. I'm here for it. Like, spare me with he's a white boy. I don't really care. And you can play, Obviously, you don't see a lot of white corners just because they're just historically they have not shown to be as good when it comes to the NFL because you just don't. You've had like one in a decade.
Yeah.
But
then when you have an athlete like DeJean that comes along,
exactly, it's the same thing with Christian McCaffrey. It's Christian McCaffrey-esque in the sense to where if McCaffrey in any other draft, they'd be like, oh my God, he's the best running back in the draft. But because he was where he's at, nobody was going to give him his props. Like, which I get it because you don't. What's another one? You don't see a lot of Caucasian running backs. It's not a big thing. But if you're that type of athlete that overcomes everything, you're worth it.
Yeah.
Like if that's what's stopping you from drafting Cooper and DeJean, grow some balls.
Yeah, DeJean, Jay Koch has DeJean as CMC.
Exactly. Like
yes, he essentially is. Yeah. Yeah. Brinks, what do you think about Cooper DeJean?
Nah, he's too similar to what we have. I think you need a lockdown potential out to my favorite corner is Terran Arnold. He's one of my 5 prospects.
You're not getting hit.
He's my top one. He's my top corner.
Well, I mean, they can trade up. Like he might fall.
What are they trading up to? 6?
You have no idea. Terran Arnold. I don't know. But like
10.
It's about targets.
Yeah.
Like he's my top corner. Like Cooper DeJean. Like he plays safety. You play nickel corner. I already have Rodgers, Maddox, CJ Gardner-Johnson. Like I need a press man outside corner that can lock down a receiver. I don't think Cooper DeJean is going to be an outside corner in the NFL. He's going to find his home at safety or he's going to find his home in the nickel. We have all that. We have that ad nauseum.
Well, who do we have at nickel? You just said that like you can't rely on DeVonta. You said you would move Chauncey
between Isaiah Rodgers, CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Isaiah Rodgers outside.
You should be fine.
Isaiah Rodgers.
He's not a nickel. He's not a nickel. I don't understand why people keep throwing that out there.
He's
it gets thrown out at least once a week.
He's played a little bit, but he's mainly an outside.
Well,
corner.
if Bradbury's here, he's not playing in the slot.
No, he's not. But
play outside.
That's our point. You really don't have much depth in the slot.
I mean, if you want to take him and put safety, if you want to take him and put him at safety, where I think he's going to be most successful in the NFL, that's fine.
I
just if I'm drafting,
I would love corner, if you were able to get a Trent McDuffie type of player who is an elite slot corner, that is greatly impactful. That is greatly impactful. And I think that's what Cooper DeJean is. I think he can be an elite slot corner who can also play at other positions. So if something happens on the outside where you need him to play, he can play that. If something happens at safety where Chauncey goes down because he has gotten hurt numerous times in the past couple of years, he can go back and play safety for a few. Like that versatility, I think that's so invaluable as well. That having that versatility. So I hear you on Terran Arnold. He's my top corner as well. PY, I don't know where you have him ranked, but I would love Terran Arnold. First, you trade up to get Terran Arnold. I'm doing backflips. I don't know how to do a backflip, but I'll find out how. So I agree with you there. But at the same time, like I don't think I don't know if it's a realistic possibility. I think maybe Quinton Mitchell too Quinton Mitchell is my CB2. I think that's another one where you could trade up for. So if you could trade up to get one of them, I'd be ecstatic. But if I'm just saying at 22, if Cooper DeJean is there, he'd be an awesome player too. Where do you guys where do you have Terran Arnold, PY?
I mean, I probably have him at 1 just because of it's the consensus. Like he's the consensus number 1 corner, and like another fantastic Alabama defensive player. Shocker.
Yeah, right. Alabama. He overtook Kool-Aid this season,
which is wild.
He was supposed to be the guy, but then
it's like Eli Ricks last season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Terran Arnold came in and he balled out. Now he's a top Alabama corner. Quinton Mitchell, what are you guys' thoughts on Quinton Mitchell?
I'm not taking a guy from the MAC at 22. Sorry. I'm out.
All right. Okay. I mean, I think Quinton Mitchell is outstanding, but all right. PY, where do you have him at?
I probably have him as like a 2nd round guy.
Really? Quinton Mitchell? I'm the highest. I'm the only one here that likes Quinton Mitchell that much. Okay.
So I don't dislike him, but like I mean, Brinks is right. Like, if you're not in the SEC, I can't trust you. I'm sorry.
Like, no, these small school guys, like,
No, I can't. I can't
day
trust
3.
Chucks after Rager.
Day 3,
I
man.
don't have it.
Day
I
3.
don't have the strength. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah, but one, you're talking about TCU, but like there are other small school prospects late in the first round that have panned out. It's not like Jalen Rager was the only small school prospect that was drafted late in the first round. Like there are other people that panned out, but I don't know. I am still a firm believer. Again, people, I mean, you've gotten arguments about this before. I believe in scouting the player, not the helmet. So
How'd that work out for you?
It's worked out pretty well overall. I've had my misses, but so have you.
Yes.
So let's not act like you're bad.
They just get better coaching, and they practice every day against competition.
No, I think that is
probability
a fair.
Game, you know,
I think that's a fair point. That's part of the eval process, but I'm also not. If you have a prospect who shows elite traits, who shows that he plays at an outstanding level, but the only knock on him is that he played at a small school, I'm personally not going to say he's not worth it. Like Greg Miller makes a good point. Kareem Hunt played at Toledo. How did he before his off-field incident? How was he panning out? How did he work out? My favorite player ever, guys, Brian Westbrook, Villanova. How did he work out? So like, I know they're third round guys, but my point is that the talent was still there to where, hey, like they're going to be great at the next level. So I'm not going to look at, and remember, I had Kareem Hunt during that draft, I had him at an earlier grade. I had him at like a late first, second round grade. So I'm not even saying, and it worked out. So I called it. It's like, so like people were shocked, like, oh, like with Kareem Hunt, like, no, I saw the talent that was there. So again, it's the small school stuff. I think it's a factor. I don't think you can really use that as a big factor, when it comes to evaluation. I think it's a smaller factor. I personally have it as a smaller factor than you guys, but I mean, to each their own. If you guys completely cancel out small school guys in the first round, then that's you.
We can't look away from the fact that, like, since 2020, our biggest successes have been from SEC schools.
No, that's fine.
So have a lot of teams. Probably all 32 teams.
Yeah, but are you saying every single SEC prospect that's come out hit?
No one ever hits. Exactly. This is super inexact science, but you need to look at the data and the pedigrees of these guys at the big schools. And if you like a guy in the small school, like, that's fine, but he better be like, there better not be a tie between him and some guy from the SEC. And you better be fucking right too.
So that's my point here. If you're taking two prospects who have similar athletic profiles, right? Say like you have two corners, both show elite athletic ability, elite speed, elite quickness, all of that. And the production is there. The film, they look exactly alike, right? If one played at SEC, one played at small school, I'm going with the SEC prospect. Absolutely. Because the SEC prospect is more proven. However, if you're taking that same prospect who has elite traits but played at a small school, and you're comparing him to an SEC corner that doesn't have elite traits, who's like mediocre athletically, right? Has a mediocre athletic profile and everything like that. Are you going to go with the SEC guy just because he's SEC? Or are you going to go with the elite talent, the elite athlete who played at a smaller school but could be a diamond in the rough? I'm going with the smaller school guy because he has more upside. That's my point. That's all I'm saying.
Upside and potential gets general managers fired in every sport.
Yeah, but
every year.
that's a cop out, Brinks. Like upside and potential,
Not a
they're
cop out.
legit.
If I'm a
They're
GM,
legit
I have to draft my
conversations.
team so I can
They're
explain
legit,
it in my next job interview.
Brinks. The legit conversations when you talk about any prospect. You're talking about like, why do you think the Chiefs drafted freaking Patrick Mahomes? Because they saw that the upside was there. They're like
Same thing with Trent McDuffie.
Like when you talk about prospects and guys who are high risk, high reward, you're going to hit on some of them, you're going to miss on some of them. But that's the whole science of it. Is like there are riskier prospects who have higher upside, but if you hit on them, they save your job. They make you into a championship contender. You can rattle off 500 prospects who didn't pan out, who had high upside. You can name 500 more who did. So it's not like you're just saying like you're talking like, oh, that's upside gets GMs fired. Upside also gets GMs championships, team championships.
So Andrew Berry, who is the general manager of the Browns, who is one of Howie Roseman's former proteges, on his wall, he has a quote from Howie Roseman that says, and I quote, you either have the GOAT quarterback, aka Tom Brady, or you make a move that could get you fired. And that's what it is in the draft sometimes. It's either you go out there and you find yourself the elite quarterback, or you make a move that's so bold that could get you fired, but sometimes it's worth it in the long run. It's the Jalen Hurts pick, the Jalen Hurts pick in a nutshell. That move, if it went any other way, could have cost Howie Roseman his job. But you know
Still
what?
Might.
I don't think it will, but
no, it won't.
Sure.
Like there's so many.
Really, he's outlasted four head coaches and 5 starting quarterbacks. I think he's fine.
Okay.
Greg Miller says, didn't L'Jarius Sneed play at Louisiana Tech? Like this is what I'm talking about, guys. There's so many small school guys who pan out to be.
L'Jarius Sneed went in what round though?
I'd have to, I think 3 or 4.
We're talking 22 here, and you want to take a guy from Toledo? No, I'm out.
But I'm talking about late first. It depends who else is there. So I'm like, who are you comparing Quinton Mitchell to? Like, if you want to say you'd rather have some other, like you want to have Kool-Aid over Quinton Mitchell, okay, that's fine, because Kool-Aid is a safe prospect at Alabama, played SEC, and you likely know what you're getting. He probably is never going to be elite, but he's probably going to be a good corner. Fine. I totally understand the desire to want to draft or lean toward a Kool-Aid McKinstry over Quinton Mitchell. However, if Quinton Mitchell hits, and you're the GM who passed on Quinton Mitchell, and Quinton Mitchell turns out to be an elite corner, who looks like the idiot now? So that's all I'm saying here is like
the same guy that took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson.
Just because you have a prospect who is a small school guy, it doesn't mean it's a bad pick. It just you're playing. No one knows everything.
How's that GM who picked Justin Jefferson? What is he doing right now? I'm just curious. Oh wait, he's collecting. He's collecting a check in the employment line.
Exactly. So it's not
Justin Jefferson and his combined 38 yards receiving in like 4 years in the NFL in the playoffs. By the way,
thank you, Greg.
Are we really like talking shit on Justin Jefferson? By far the best receiver in the NFL.
No,
sure in the regular season.
I think PY's point. I think to my point is like you can hit on a prospect. You hit on Justin Jefferson, great. It doesn't mean that you make that same formula doesn't always apply to every single prospect. That's the point. There's no set thing to where you just have to draft SEC. Only SEC. That's it. Like that formula is not going to work. What if Nolan Smith doesn't work out? He was SEC. Like
all your examples of these small school guys were taken not in the first round.
Outside the realm of possibility that Nolan Smith doesn't pan out. No, it's very possible, but he was SEC. So like, aren't there other prospects we could have had over Nolan Smith from smaller schools that panned out that would have been better than Nolan Smith? But we went with the SEC guy. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I like Nolan Smith, but I'm also not going to outrule a smaller school guy just because he's a smaller school guy. That's all I'm saying. So, good debate there. We got about 10 more minutes left. Remember, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Brinks, who else do you
Yeah.
have on your list besides any of the ones we've mentioned?
I have a couple. I have two edge rushers that are at the top of my list that will actually set the edge. One's been mentioned in the chat, and Darius Robinson. He's
Nice.
6'8",
Okay, good.
280. He's 6'8", 285. You can do a lot with that, and he's not going to be, chasing sacks out there. He's going to do his job. He's going to play a role. He can play defensive tackle or defensive end. He's going to set an edge. He's going to play the run. He's going to do everything at defensive end that this team doesn't have right now. And I'm really concerned about it. I think this defense, still a lot of time left in this offseason to add, but this run defense is setting up to be poor. I think they'll be much improved against the pass because of the CJ Gardner-Johnson signing. But you need someone in there that's going to set an edge. And then my best defensive player in the draft, I don't know where he's going to go, but defensive end, Florida State, Jared Verse. He's a monster. He's always making plays. He's super athletic, converted tight end. Pretty much anyone from Florida State's team last year, I'm in on. That was the best team in the country. Unfortunately, they suffered that injury to Jordan Travis and weren't able to compete in the playoff. But those two are at the top of my list as far as 22 goes, because they do something that this team desperately needs, and that's being able to set the edge and play the run and be versatile on the defensive line and not just be a sack guy off the edge. So those are the two ones that
I like those names. Very, very good names. I think Jared Verse. I think I'd rather have Latu over Jared Verse, but it's close. I just love Latu. I think Latu was the best edge rusher in this draft. But yeah, I wouldn't complain about Verse either. Trust me, I will not complain about Verse either. I like Verse a lot.
Latu played for Chip Kelly, right?
On UCLA, yeah.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, but
that has nothing to do with it, considering he didn't even coach that side of the ball.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I don't care.
Showing your football knowledge as usual there, Briggs.
I don't want anybody associated with that guy a part of this team.
Okay. All right, cool.
Got to use common sense and logic sometimes.
Common sense.
Two things you do not have.
If you watch film on Latu, you can see how talented he is.
He can't read.
He's a stud.
Sick burn.
PY, who do you have on your list of guys that you'd love the Eagles to target?
So I like Byron Murphy. I like Cooper DeJean. Nate Wiggins is really good. I keep hearing people talk about Latu, and I keep hearing people you can't touch him, you can't touch him, you can't touch him, and I'm just like, the more you tell me not to do something, the more interested I am at him coming here. my philosophy.
Who do you hear saying you shouldn't draft him?
I keep hearing people just throw it out there. It's there's something about him you can't touch in the first round, and I just don't get it.
Aside from the injury concerns,
I think that's probably it. He's coming off the injury, and I'm like, my counter to that will be, so is Landon Dickerson.
Yeah,
and he's an all-pro.
That's something where we really won't have knowledge on. That's something teams only will have knowledge on, because the teams will have
got Sidney Jones effect, in my opinion. Whenever they think of an injured player, they're like, "Oh my God, no, Sidney Jones."
Yeah, and I think that's fair, but I think that's also, as fans on the outside, we can't. We don't have the information to that. Only teams have the medicals, so the team has to be able to do their homework and be able to know if this guy is worth taking, despite their medical history. I will never go deep into a prospect's medicals, because that's something I don't know. I just don't know, unless if they've been injured every single year and then they've never completed a season. Then I'll be like, okay, that's concerning. But again, if the medicals clear out on the team side, if they have the info and say the medicals are good, then I'm good. Then okay, I'm good. We mentioned a lot of names that I already on my list, and we talk about Terry Arnold. We disagree on Quinion Mitchell. Already covered Cooper DeJean and Edgerrin Cooper. I talked about Latu. The only other person I have, and this is not a day one guy, this is more of a day two guy. And he's probably at corner. I'd say he's my guy in this draft, and you can call it bias if you want, but I really want Max Melton from Rutgers. I really want Max Melton. He is so good. He is, you talk about someone who can play inside or out, but will most likely be a slot corner. But he has that edge, that physicality in the run game. He plays well downhill. He's a great athlete, like so good in coverage, does everything. So I want Max Melton is my guy this year on the defensive end, the defensive side of the ball. I love Max Melton. So he's someone I would mention too. And so if you guys remember that, and anyone who's listening, if you hear Max Melton being drafted by the Eagles on day 2, know that I will also be doing backflips over him. So I am so excited about Max. I wanted to circle back. We got about 4 minutes left. Circle back to a question Andrew Baker had. He said, question for all three of you. What position do we go round 1? He did follow up and saying not who we think they should, but like predictive. If you were to predict what position the Eagles go in round 1, what do you think they will do? Brinks, let's start with you.
My gut tells me that they're going to pick someone, since I've read it a lot online that this is a big offensive tackle draft. So I think my gut tells me that they're going to pick someone that they can start out at guard and then kick out to right tackle when Lane goes. Because Howie does this all the time. He treats these draft picks like almost like red shirts in college football. We're like, yeah, we're picking this guy now, which I don't like, but it's clearly worked out for him. We have a good competitive team a lot, even though the ride is usually frustrating, but they do have a strong competitive team more often than not. So I guess the strategy works, but like Guyton seems to be like the guy that can do that from Oklahoma. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's not going to be an edge rusher there. So Howie's just going to attack the trenches on the other side of the ball in the first round. And then some of those guys, some of those like nerdy draft nerd guys, like, your guy Melton down there, and my guy Cameron Kitchens from Miami, who I really like, the safety.
Yeah, I like him too.
He's physical. He sticks his nose in there. He can play the pass and the run, can tackle. And the linebacker from Clemson, not named Jeremiah Trotter, that's the 5th guy on my list, was Barrett Carter, who played next to Jeremiah Trotter. He's the type of linebacker that I like. Scans the field, recognizes the play, penetrates the holes, and makes the tackle. He's not as flashy as Edgerrin Cooper, but I think he's going to be a really good pro. Really crafty linebacker. But yeah, my instinct to answer the question, guy that's going to start out at guard and go out to right tackle when Lane goes on. That's my instinct.
PY, how about you? Who do you think they end up going?
So I don't think there's a position that they're instinctively going to go for, because I keep seeing people bring up O-line, but that's not really something they do in the first round. Like, obviously they've done it before, but like if you look at Howie's history, he's drafted as many wide receivers in the first round as he has offensive linemen. If you look in the last few years, the second round is where he's found his biggest successes. And then it's the middle of the pack to the end of the rounds. Like, that's where his bread and butter is finding guys between rounds 5 through 7 when it comes to offensive linemen, or in the last few years, round 2. Like, if they're going to go first round, like, I think they're probably going to go defense, and it's probably going to be wherever the board lies. If it's a safety, they'll go safety. If it's a corner, they'll go corner. Like, if it's a pass rusher, it's probably pass rush. Like,
I think
if I had to nail down a position, it's probably going to be a pass rusher. It's wherever the board's going to fall. Because a few years ago, they probably would have taken Patrick Surtain if it went a certain way.
Yeah. I think he's more so asking like if we had to like predict, like, if we had to predict what end up being. So you're saying edge rusher?
Yeah, most likely.
Okay. All right, good. So we all have different answers then. So I like where you guys are going. I think, because there's so much discourse and there's so much mention about, the Eagles never pick a corner in the first round, I think this is the year that they do it. I think this is how he's like, F you, I'm going to do what I want year. Because after signing Saquon, when everyone said, oh, we don't extend or give money to running backs, and he did it anyway, I think he's going to say, I'm going to drop a cornerback in the first round. So I think there are, when it comes between Terry and Arnold, Quinton Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, or even if you want to include Nate Wiggins, I think that a corner is good. I'm going to predict the corner ends up being the pick there. But I absolutely could see being an edge rusher. I could see it being one of the offensive linemen. It absolutely could end up being one of those. I think
Will
those are
this be my 5th year in a row I've predicted the Eagles' first round pick?
I say no because I want to be right this time. Well, guys, an hour went by fast. That was awesome. I think we had some great conversations. Next week we are going to do offensive side, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be even like more off the hinges. We're going to have a lot
running
more
back.
No. But to everyone in the fam, thank you again for commenting. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your support. Baggio's Bread. Remember, 10% off your in-store purchase if you mention A2D Radio. For myself, Chucks, for Brinks, for Mr. PY, thank you for coming on. Hopefully this isn't the last time you come on and join us. We appreciate you being here. And for all the other hosts, we've got Chrome, we've got Pete, and Les Bowen, and the rest of us at A2D Radio. Thank you. We love you guys. We will see you next week. Offensive prospects, guys. Until then, peace.